In this video, we're going to talk about a use case of how a recruiter or a staffing company has helped its client, an employer, identify the market wages for a list of jobs that the employer was struggling hard to identify the right amount of pay, but at the same time wanted to hire talent faster. This is part of a six series use cases of how recruiters use Symmetrics. Before we jump into the details, a quick introduction of Symmetrics platform. It's a unique HR tech and analytics platform unifying job seekers, recruiters, and employers. Tries to bring harmony between candidates who are generally job seeking, recruiters and staffers who are job matching, and then employers who are the job providers. Um, as you can see, there are various problems Symmetrics help um, smoothen out majority of the concerns that each of the rules have in the job process. Symmetrics is a benchmarking platform with trustworthy analytics for candidates, recruiters, and employees. It helps accelerate talent access and mobility, and it integrates with various course providers, assessment platforms, and job boards, ultimately helping make career choices for various roles. Feel free to go ahead and register your free account at symmetrics.fyi. Have all the documentation and use cases as well. For any other inquiries, feel free to write to hello at symmetrics.fyi. Uh, from one high level perspective, the analytics are organized into various categories: informational, what if, goal based, industry, job family, and miscellaneous. And under each of those categories, there is employer, job title, state, city, and so on. Depending on your particular use case and need, you will end up using one of the category or the subcategory reports. So with that said, let's get back to our use case here. We are talking about how a staffing company is helping its employer or client identify the market wage for a job. In this case, the employer was looking for a data engineer and a data scientist in the state of Texas and wanted to know what um, should the employer be planning for the year of 2022 for budgeting purposes. They had a goal of hiring a team of data scientists and data engineers, but they were very unclear in terms of what is the market, what is the market pay, who are their competitors, how much do they pay, and so on and so forth. And so the recruiting company used Symmetrics platform to help solve the client needs. How did they do it? Let's jump right in. The first thing what the recruiter did was open the dashboard, job title, KPIs, and let's go ahead and refresh this once. And since it was in the year 2022, go ahead and search for data scientist, right? And then go ahead and apply all the filters. Now, first, the recruiter shared all of the information about which all states hire data scientists in the U.S., with California obviously paying the most, and Washington State, New York, because that's where majority of the tech jobs are located. Now, the employer was in Texas, so he would like information relevant to Texas. But first, let's scan the landscape. There were totally 305 employers nationally who hired data scientists, with 31 states hiring and 170 cities hiring all of them, right? And you can see the wage trend all the way from 2009 kept on increasing more or less. And you can see right now the average wage in 2022 ranges anywhere between 115K to 126 nationally. The lower end of the wage ranges anywhere between 50,000 to 250,000, and the upper end can range from anywhere from 50 to 300,000. Now, who are some of the top employers as you scan for looking at it in terms of the pay? You can see Goodwater Capital, Stitch Fix, Roblox, Mindesk, DoorDash. All of these are keep hiring data scientists and kept hiring in the year 2022. Now, the client in the employer who was trying to hire the data scientist identified some of these already as competitors. So he needs to be prepared to budget for numbers if he plans to compete with these entities, right? But anyways, we are trying to identify the benchmarking wages for and have a rough number for the client. So since the client was in Texas, look for Texas, and then you can see it ranges right now anywhere between 93.8 to 101K, which might be slightly biased, but let's keep that number just in mind. And then in the state of Texas, once again, you look at all of the cities that are hiring data scientists. You look at Austin. Austin obviously pays higher, right, for a data scientist. You look at Dallas. You look at Coppell. You look at Houston. And so now the employer or the client is now getting a fair amount of idea of where the numbers should be. So for getting the top talent, definitely have to pay in the higher numbers, above 130, 135. But at the same time, you might be able to get some data scientists, but overall, one needs to be prepared to plan if the employer expects the data scientist to be physically located within Texas, then these are the numbers. Now, on the other hand, if the employer is ready to do a remote job, then the entire nation is open, but at the same time, the competition also would be very higher accordingly, right? So the recruiter was able to quickly look at these numbers, download each of these data, and provide a report to the client in terms of what should he be budgeting for 2022 for the role of data scientist. Now, repeat the same for a data engineer, and similarly, based on the needs of the client, whether it is a physically located job or whether it was a remote job, the recruiter was able to gain a lot of loyalty with the employer, since the recruiter was able to quickly provide all of this information, authentic and trustworthy information based on the market, to the employer. The employer was very happy and increased uh, the relationship by offering more contracts to the recruiter. That's how symmetrics helps create success stories for recruiters with their employers and candidates.